There is nothing wrong with playing a game, whether it's chess, checkers, or football, basketball, whether it's a mind game like Monopoly. Playing games is fun, it motivates you, it cements group bonds, it's a way to meet new people. So games are constructive, games are social, and games teach you to be willing to share responsibility as well as to appreciate when someone else wins. So games in themselves, there's nothing wrong with them. Let me give you one scenario. There's a game that you can sign up for. You sign up to the game, you pay 20 euros. And in the game, you need to figure out how to escape from a room. After 5 hours, if you haven't managed to escape, people come and remove you. If you manage to get out of the room by following all the clues, there's a prize of 2,000 euros. So, you either make it out of the room by following the clues and you get 1,000 euros, or you don't. But you know very well that the chance exists that you won't get 1,000 euros. So, you pay the 20 euros, you give your all, and if you win, you're happy. If you don't win, you're at least happy that you've tried, and the people you cooperate with, you form new bonds, new friendships, or whatever with them. What if there's another scenario? You're kidnapped and you're placed on a sinking ship, and you need to figure out how to get to a rescue vessel. And not only that, you also need to figure out which way you need to row to get to land. Is that still a game? Well, it is. It's a game for those that kidnapped you and put you in a dangerous position, but it's not a game unto you, because your life depends on it. Your well-being can be harmed because of it. Such games are called dirty games. And nobody wants to be involved in a dirty game, unless you are the one benefiting from the dirty game. Then you do want to be involved, but just not in the open, so that the victims who are harmed by the dirty game don't come after you. But in general, nobody wants to be associated with a dirty game. There are dirty games in politics, dirty games in the financial sector, dirty games on the work floor. There are dirty games everywhere in daily life. There is one dirty game, however, that most of us are still investing in. And this dirty game is actually quite obvious, but because it's something that's been spoon-fed to you since you were a little baby, and because this dirty game is what's being validated over and over again, 24/7, because of that, you don't feel like it's a dirty game. You don't even think it's a game. You confuse this game for reality. But when you self-reflect, you realize it's a game, and not only is it a game, it's a dirty game, it's at your expense, and you were never asked whether you wanted to be part of it. Yet, you invest a lot in this game, and now you also are forcing this game onto others. And here's the thing, this game works like this. If you have the right cards, you're at ease. If you don't have the right cards, you are exploited. So nobody wants to be part of the exploited class. They want to be part of the winning class. So people fight, they cheat, they scam, they beg, they sell their bodies, they do whatever they need to be part of the winning class. Because being part of the exploited class means that you don't matter, your health will be taken advantage of, you will likely be sexually exploited or sexually abused, and people just don't care much about your existence. So nobody wants to be part of the exploited class. So being part of the exploited class is the stick. People are frightened because of it, and rightfully so. And being part of the winning class is the carrot. So you have the stick smacking you, and you have the carrot that tricks you. And in case you forget that, in case you don't want the carrot, you think, what is this? The stick will motivate you to pretend like the carrot is worth it. Does anyone know which game I'm talking about? It's that game called society. Society is an old, dirty game. Or better, it's an ancient, dirty game. It's a game centered around the worship of Apollo, the sun god, also known as Helios. It's centered around worshiping Greek deities, who are demons, to keep you away from walking in life and abundance as God intended for you. So it's a game that gambles with your well-being in this life and also with your eternal well-being. It's a game that you're born into, and if you belong to the exploited class, you're blamed for it, and if you belong to the privileged class, you're praised for it, and you're offered excuses as to why there must be an exploited class. If you belong to the exploited class, you're blamed all the time. Even if you're not to blame, people will still blame you. Society is an ancient, dirty game. It's a game nobody should be playing. But it's the game that most people don't want to give up. Now, why is it that they don't want to give up this dirty game? Why is it that a lot of people don't want to seek for alternatives on how to live daily life with one another? Why is it that most people keep investing in this thing called society? It's very simple. Pride. It's not that we don't see another way. If you don't see another way, but you want another way, sooner or later you'll notice other ways. It's because of pride. This is how it works. If you con a child into believing, for example, that Santa Claus is real, when the child is 8, 9 years old and the child figures out that Santa Claus is a scam or Santa Claus is fake, the child will be disappointed and upset, but by now the child received from Santa Claus. So because the child often received, the child did not invest. Well, the child behaved because the child wanted to get something from Santa Claus, but it was more of a receiving nature. So now that receiving disappears, the child is upset, but the child thinks, okay, then no more chocolate from Santa Claus. Oh, Santa Claus does not exist. The child moves on. Children are quite flexible in it. But once someone is in their teenage years, when they're maturing, if you con them with investment, because you can't con them with receiving. That's what you do with children. If you want to con a child, you con with gifts. If you want to con an adult or someone that's maturing, you con with a promise. Children cannot process complexity. So with them, if you want to con a child, you need to use gifts. Because that's the only thing a child can do, receive. Especially if they're below 5 years old. Someone that's maturing or someone that's an adult, you need to come with a promise that requires their investment. This is how it goes. Those that are maturing, or said in other words, teenagers, and those that are adults, they have invested their emotions, their minds, physical effort. They've invested in the promises of society. If they need to see and recognize that society is an ancient, dirty game, that has nothing to do with daily practicality, it has nothing to do with making a living, it has nothing to do with honesty, justice, none of that. It has nothing to do with a human dignity, that it all has to do with devil worship and keeping people away from their true potential in Christ. Once they need to admit all of this, then they also need to admit that they've been conned, they've been lied to, they've been taken advantage of. And because the people that should have known better often didn't want to face it either, namely their parents, grandparents, school teachers, university professors, politicians, because the people that should have known better either didn't know any better or didn't want to know better, they now have to process they've been conned, knowingly or unknowingly, by most people around them. Then they also have to admit that much of the things they agree with, that many of their opinions are also shaped by this dirty game. So all their mental and emotional investments only make sense on the terms of the dirty game. Apart from the dirty game, they cannot stand. Someone can be conservative, saying that there shouldn't be any welfare for anyone. If you can't work, you just die. So you need to have family to take care of you. And if you really can't take care of you, then there will be some provision. Someone that's left-wing would say, no, there should be provisions for everyone because we are one community. That's how we have a net in case people are exploited or discriminated against, so that we can help others out. In both cases, there's one thing in common: the monetary system, in which you have to surrender your life source to get a paycheck at the end of the month. And that is what makes money so valuable. But it's just paper with ink on it that's printed somewhere. Yet it gets so much value because people surrender their life source to it. Because if they don't do it, they can't use that piece of paper to pay the rent, and they're on the street, so there's a threat. And because the threat, they comply, and when they get the paycheck, they feel validated. So it's a psychic investment, a psychic hold that they're into. So some people are very clinging onto this psychic hold, so they say, no welfare, everyone must take care of themselves, because I'm surviving too. Why should you not survive? They will feel robbed when others receive money for free. Others on the left wing are saying, no, we should take care of other people. And that's true also. So the one feels exploited, the conservative, and the leftist thinks, no, we need to take care of other people. But here's the thing. What keeps both opinions and statements, quote unquote, alive is the scam of the monetary system. Namely, that money has intrinsic value. The moment you see through the scam, money has no value at all, neither the left wing nor the conservative standpoint would make any sense. You would see that they are both sides of the same coin to keep you trapped in this game called society. So if you choose one side of the coin that's negative, you will have bad side effects. If you choose a side of the coin that's a positive, you will get some relief. Those on the conservative side think that they are on the positive side of the coin, and those on the left think they are on the positive side of the coin. In reality, all human beings need to have some social security for their lives. All human beings need it. Corporations have it, and they're not even human beings. So those that are conservative, when they lose their job, when they're discriminated against, and nobody wants to help them out, it's them becoming homeless. But then you ask, why are you supporting an opinion that will backfire on you? It's because of pride. They wake up every day to go to their job, to get a paycheck at the end of the month, and now they don't want others to do the same. They feel validated, they're not bothering other people. Those on the left, when they realize that they may get a burnout by working too much, they go on to welfare and they relax and they recover. So they are on the quote-unquote bright side of the coin, but still trapped in the system. But at least they have some real-life benefits that are short-lived. So that's how this game of society works. You're offered a coin with two sides and you need to take one of the sides. And each side has some relevant points, but those points are only relevant because the coin is in the center. Take away the coin and what do you have left? And that is what it's about. People have invested their whole being into this ancient dirty game. And for them to de-invest means that everything about them needs to change. If they are very stern people with little patience to things that don't interest them, then they need to acknowledge that that's a narcissistic attitude that they cannot justify, and only reason why they could get away with that attitude was though to this old dirty game called society. So for them to admit that society is an old dirty game, then they also need to admit the defects that they invested in, that they now need to de-invest from and that they need to be delivered from. And that also means that they need to face that they also contributed to the exploitation of others. And it also means that the narcissistic investments they have also need to go. So that clinging for control needs to disappear also. In short, when people realize what it implies to admit that society is an old dirty game, once they see what it all implies and what it will require of them, they say no. They refuse. They don't want to give up the con. So actually, they want the con to be real. But the con is a con. It's not real. The consequences of the con are real because we will enforce the consequences, but the con itself is just a con. If nobody would enforce society, society would be nothing but a story written on paper. But it is because people enact this story that there are consequences. And people mistake the consequences for that story being real. No, the story is acted out. But not that the story in itself is real without its actors. That's why in political science, because I'm also a political scientist, in political science, they talk about state actors, economic actors, whether it is an organization or a human being, they're called actors. That's why many pieces of legislation are called acts or pacts. Why? Because it's an act. It's a game. But the commoner out there, the game is all they have. And once you realize that the game is a hoax, that means now that they need to start all over again. They just don't want to. They just don't want to. Because they don't want to face the fact that they've been conned, they will now continue to invest in the con like never before. They'll become radicals. They'll become extremists in this old dirty game called society. And once they become extremists and radicals, and they realize that their extremism doesn't make the game any real, they now will look for targets to attack. And that's what terrorism is. Terrorism is when someone is so invested in the game, but realize that their fierce investment doesn't make the game any real. And because they don't want to make this, now this frustration they take out on others. That is what terrorism is. So, you cannot have terrorism without society. It's impossible. You want to get rid of terrorism, get rid of society. So learn how to operate in line with Christ, with one another, in national autonomy, so that everyone is safe, secure, and prosperous. But this means that you have to give up this urge for control. And worldly people just want to control. They are obsessed with control. They are control creeps. So they just don't want any solutions. Now, you are in society. You can't deny that. You're in it, but you're not of it. Use what you have in society to glorify Christ, but don't invest in its concepts and don't ever think that society is real. It's not. Keep agreeing with Christ.